Hi, welcome to this masterclass where you're going to discover what most women don't hear before starting semaglutide or tirzepatide, as well as the three-step method that actually makes weight loss last, even after stopping the medicine. My name is Dr. Zuleika Tayebji, or Dr. Tai, which is what I usually go by with my patients. I'm excited to share this information with you guys. I'm sure you're busy, so let's get started. This is for you if you are a woman who's been thinking about GLP-1 medications, but you're not sure if it's right for you. You're worried about being on that medication forever, or you're worried about gaining the weight back when you stop. If you're tired of trying diet after diet, counting the calories, counting the carbs, eating nothing, and you're still not seeing the results that you should be seeing, and if you're serious about losing the weight and keeping it off, so that you can stop fighting your own body and feel like yourself again. It's not easy, but it's absolutely possible. Losing weight is really freaking hard, but stick with me, and I promise it's going to work for you. First question. Do you ever think to yourself, I see other women, you know, eating whatever they want and staying thin. I'm thinking all the time about food. Even after I finish a meal, I might be thinking about what's next for a snack or my next meal. I've heard about semaglutide. I've heard about Wegovy, Ozempic, Zepbound, all these names. But I'm scared that if I stop the medication, I'm just going to gain all the weight back. I don't want to be on medication forever, but I'm running out of options. If you've ever thought any of those things or similar thoughts, I can completely relate, and I'm going to show you what happens or why that happens and how you can become part of, the lucky group that actually see results when not much else has worked, and the fact that it's really not about luck at that point. My promise to you, I'm going to show you the three-step system to lose 20, 30, 50 pounds or more with GLP-1 medications and actually keep it off. So you can finally stop fighting your own body, feel like yourself again, walk away from the medication when you're ready without gaining it all back. Can you relate to some of these statements? Are there days where you eat almost nothing and the scale doesn't move or even goes up? Have you ever avoided the mirror or skipped an event? Dreaded getting dressed because nothing fits the way it used to, or you just don't feel like yourself in it? Do you feel like you're doing everything you're supposed to do, but your body has decided to work against you? If you can relate to any of those, I completely understand what you're feeling, and I want you to know that it's not your fault. The real problem is that your brain is lying to you about hunger and to your body about metabolism. Here's why I say that. Maybe you've had those days where you only ate 1,200 calories. You've had times where you've been quote unquote good for weeks. Then you stepped on the scale and it's up 2 pounds. If you're anything like my patients, oops, sorry, there's going to be some dog barking here. Pause it. Sorry about that. I also have many dogs. My husband and I run a dog rescue, so that is something that my patients get used to. Anyway, sorry. If you're anything like my patients, you've probably had this thought, which is that I'm doing everything right or the same way I used to do it, and things that should work or used to work are just not anymore. Something's changed, or maybe something, is just biologically not working. Sometimes that's, life changes. Maybe you've had kids, maybe you're in your 40s, menopause, perimenopause. Maybe you just woke up one day and your body stopped doing what you wanted to do, stopped cooperating. Or maybe you've struggled with weight loss your whole life. The stuff that used to work has stopped working, or maybe nothing's ever worked before. Even though you might be starving yourself and saying no to everything, you're still gaining weight. This is not a you problem. Here's what's really going on. Your brain is being fed bad information. You're snacking when you're not even hungry. You finish dinner, you're thinking about what's in the pantry. Your metabolism doesn't match what you're actually doing. This isn't about discipline or willpower. It's a sign of a hidden biological imbalance. The good news is that there's a simple way to fix this, and that's exactly what I'm going to show you today. The key to your success is with this triangle. It is a proven 3-step system that will help you go from fighting your body every single day to finally losing weight and keeping it off without starvation diets, without white knuckling every meal, without staying on the medication forever. Here's a small taste of what it's done for others just like you. We'll see later how this has helped Sarah go from stuck at post-pregnancy weight despite doing everything, quote unquote, right, to losing 20 pounds on a GLP-1 medication and keeping it off. You'll hear more about Jessica, who went from feeling uncomfortable in her own skin to losing 48 pounds with these GLP-1 medications and finally feeling confident in her body. We'll also learn more about Claire, who had lost her identity as an athlete, and who has since lost more than 50 pounds and is back to competing in triathlons and feeling like herself. These results are absolutely possible for you as well. The best part of all this, you don't have to get your prescription from an online pill mill and just kind of hope for the best. You won't need to rely on willpower alone because we're fixing what's actually broken. This has been proven to work even when women have tried, every diet, every program, every eat less, move more approach without lasting results. So even though you've been struggling with weight that won't budge no matter what you do, and even though that, that has not been your fault, it is your responsibility to do something about it. And that's why you're here. So I want to really commend you for being here and demonstrating that you are willing to take back control and do what's needed to finally see results. Before we go any further, you might be wondering who I am and why you should even listen to me. Let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Dr. Ty. I'm best known for helping women over 35 who struggle to lose weight, finally figure out what's going on in their body so that they can lose the weight, keep it off, stop blaming themselves for something that was never about willpower. I did my undergraduate studies at the University of Texas at Austin. I was pre-med and a philosophy major. I got my medical degree from McGovern Medical School in Houston, and I did my residency in family medicine at UT Houston, which is McGovern Medical School. So I was trained in the largest medical center in the world. I am board certified in family medicine, licensed in over 15 states. Personally, as you heard earlier, I am married. I run a dog rescue. I'm obviously a big fan of pups and animals in general. So even though that's not my day-to-day job, that is something that I'm very passionate about as well. Even though I'm a sought-after expert in this area, I didn't go into medicine planning to focus on weight loss. I started off in primary care because I wanted to be in the field of medicine that I thought could help the most people in the most ways. So I started off, seeing pretty much everything. But what kept coming up over and over were patients that were frustrated with their weight. And as a physician, obviously, that has plenty of medical consequences. But the thing that I kept hearing from patients is that it wasn't that they weren't trying. They were all trying and they were doing a lot. But it was that, they still weren't seeing the results. I kept seeing the same patterns, women doing quote unquote all the right things, not seeing the results that we would expect, women who would lose the weight and gain it all back, women who would tell me, something used to work for them, be it exercise, whatever, and it just has not working anymore. But what really got to me was the blame. These women would come into my office feeling like failures, like they were doing something wrong, like they didn't have, the discipline or the willpower. And I knew that wasn't true. I remember staying with a patient one time who had come in, she'd done everything, Weight Watchers, keto, counted the calories, skipped the meals, measured the macros. And she just had continuously, for most of her life, been on that roller coaster of up, down, lose some, gain it back, not lose some, the whole cycle that just kept repeating. And she was, very frustrated. And at that point, she just kind of blamed herself for it. She just said, maybe I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe I'm meant to be this size. And I remember I felt frustrated not with her, but for her, because no one had ever explained to her what was actually happening. No one had talked to her about biology, how her hunger signals were misfiring, that her gut and her brain weren't communicating the way they were meant to. She wasn't failing, her body was, and no one had told her. So that moment set me on a journey. I started diving deeper into obesity medicine, metabolic health, the research around GLP-1 hormones, and the, at that time, newish medications that were starting to target them. I wanted to understand why this was happening and what we could do about it. So I became board eligible in obesity medicine, did a really deep dive into the science behind that. And what I discovered changed everything for me and how I treat my patients, which is that the brain is being fed bad information. The fact is that for millions of women, especially those after 35, after kids, perimenopause, menopause, the signals that tell your brain that you're hungry and when you're full start misfiring. These same signals are what control metabolism and how the body processes food. It is not a willpower problem. It is a biological problem. Once I understood that, I knew I could help my patients see that as well, and to actually get to the issue at hand. I now get to do this every day for work. I've helped over 500 women lose the weight, keep it off, walk away from the medication when they're ready. I get to watch women go from blaming themselves to truly understanding their body. And I see women going, every day from, hating what they see in the mirror, not wanting to try on clothes, to being excited about, buying the new dress or trying on the jeans or going to a party or a vacation, etc. I don't believe in strict diets or trends, and I don't think there's a plan that works for everyone. What I know to be true is that it's really a team effort. So I bring the medical side, the medical knowledge and the physician side of things, and my patients bring what works in their real life, and we figure out a plan together. And that's what really works. The fact that you're here taking this first step toward a better future says a lot about your commitment. So again, I commend you for being here, and yeah, let's just keep going. So imagine what life looks like when you no longer think about food every waking minute. Imagine how you'll feel, like I said, when you buy those new pair of jeans and you're excited to try them on and see what they look like or take a picture in them. And imagine how great it'll feel when you walk away from the medication and keep the weight off, and you finally figured this out, and this time for good. All of that is possible when you understand and take actions on the 3 discoveries I made years ago that I'm going to share with you now. These are the 3 things that will help you put an end to years of frustration, finally see the results you've been wanting. I know that sounds like a bold claim, so hear me out. Let's dive in. Food noise is keeping you stuck. You know that voice in your head that never shuts up about food? It's exhausting. It takes up a ton of mental space. Um, and you've probably assumed that everyone's brain works like this. They don't. Most people eat, well, many people eat, feel satisfied, and then just stop thinking about food for hours. Sometimes they forget to eat, which seems like unimaginable for many of my patients. I call that constant mental chatter that you live with food noise. Food noise is a hormonal misfire. GLP-1, which is glucagon-like peptide 1, tells your brain when you've had enough. So this hormone GLP-1 tells your brain that you're full. It enters the appetite center of the brain and turns that switch off. It also slows down gastric emptying and allows for the right amount of insulin to improve metabolism. For a lot of women, that signal gets stuck in the on position. So it just keeps firing, telling you to eat, telling you telling you you're hungry even when your body has plenty of fuel. That's why willpower doesn't work. You're not fighting a craving, you're fighting a biological signal that never turns off. There's now a way to quiet that noise, and that's GLP-1 medications. They are all over the place right now. And there's a good reason for that. Your body already makes GLP-1 naturally. So it's not a foreign chemical. The problem is that yours isn't working the way it should. These medications simply give your body what it's already supposed to have. They quiet that food noise. Um, they tell your brain you're not actually hungry. A lot of my patients will describe what it feels and they'll say, like, I had no idea my brain could be this quiet. I finally have room in my head for other things. For the first time in their life, they're not white knuckling it through every meal. They're just living, they're just being themselves. And they're losing weight, which is great. And here's the thing, the medication isn't the full story. If you don't understand what I'm about to show you next, you could end up worse off than you did before. Before we go there, let me tell you about Sarah. She was 36, and when we first got started, she had been doing everything right: clean eating, regular workouts, good portion control. But after her pregnancy, her body stopped responding the way it used to. The scale wouldn't move. She spent months in a plateau despite maximum effort. And that's when she realized that willpower wasn't the problem. It was her metabolism had fundamentally shifted. Once we started working together, we addressed the real issue using my using my 3-step GLP-1 method, and everything changed. She lost 20 pounds, reached a healthy BMI, and she's maintaining her weight now without the medication because we fixed what was actually broken. Something important to note, and this is the second point, is that the medication alone will make things worse. So say you're thinking about getting the medication, you've maybe looked it up, you've looked up some places and seen some of those online options, quick questionnaire, no real conversation, a vial shows up at your door for a few $100 a month, easy, and it will work at first. The food noise will quiet down, the weight will probably start coming off, clothes will start fitting better, and you'll probably think that you've figured it out. And then you stop the medication, maybe because you hit your goal weight, maybe you can't afford it anymore, maybe you just want to prove to yourself that you can, quote unquote, do this on your own. And then usually within 6 months, you'll have gained back 40 pounds, often, more weight than you lost. Now you're heavier than before you started, and that just leads to more frustration. And I think the really important thing is that you didn't fail, you were set up to fail. Those online pill mills, they don't tell you what's actually going on in your body. They didn't help you unlearn the patterns that food noise created, that, poor metabolism created, the stress eating, the boredom eating, habits that are built over years. They don't help address those things. Those patterns, they don't just disappear when the food noise gets quiet. And the moment the medication stops, those old patterns and habits take over when you do it without the additional help that is needed. So that's why studies actually do show that most women gain most of the weight back that they lost within a year of stopping these medications. So this is an example of why and how the cheap and easy route isn't really cheap or easy at all. It costs you your progress, your confidence, and months, potentially years of struggle. But importantly, it doesn't have to be that way. When you do this the right way, you don't just lose the weight, you keep it off. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you next. First, let's talk about Jessica. She struggled with weight her whole life. By 34, she was working harder than ever. She had hired a trainer when I met her. She was tracking every macro, weighing every food, pushing herself in the gym daily. She had built muscle, which was fantastic, but the weight wouldn't budge. She felt uncomfortable in her own skin. When she came to see me, I helped her see that what no one else had told her, which is that she didn't have a willpower problem. She had a biological problem. Once we addressed that with the GLP-1 method, 3-step GLP-1 method, everything shifted. She lost 48 pounds. We have since transitioned into maintenance, and her strength training actually shows now. She's at the size that she feels her best, and that matters to me more than any number on a chart. Importantly for her, her BMI is 26, which is technically in the overweight category. But what the evidence and the research shows from a medical standpoint is that the delta, the weight lost, is what really matters for your cardiovascular health, decreasing your morbidity. That's the number that I really care about as a physician. That final ending point, BMI, weight, whatever it is, that to me is that's what more about you at that point. When you tell me I feel good, I like how I feel like myself. That for me is the goal. So Jessica's a great example of where I got the delta. I got, she lost a large large enough percentage of her body that we decreased a bunch of her morbidity risks. So doctor wise, I was happy. And then for her, she said, this is the weight that I feel most myself at. Discovery number 3, this is kind of that third point, is that GLP-1s aren't the easy way out. Let's talk about the thing that you're probably not saying out loud. You're thinking about this medication, and a part of you knows it could work. There's another part of you that's worried. Is this cheating? Is this the lazy way out? What will people think if they find out? I hear this all the time. Women tell me, I haven't told anyone I'm on this, and I won't tell anyone. They've been on the medication for a year, and their best friend doesn't know. Their sister doesn't know. Sometimes their husband doesn't know, because they feel like they're doing something wrong. If you do too, I want you to understand something. The weight loss resistance you're dealing with is a hidden biological issue. I think it's really important to remember that this is a true medical condition. Would you, feel ashamed of taking a blood pressure medication or a thyroid medication? Would you really feel like you're cheating if you needed those? I think the answer is probably no. And if so, there's really no reason why this should be any different. Here's the truth about the quote unquote lazy way. The lazy way is getting a prescription from an online pharmacy and hoping for the best. No guidance, no support, no plan. Even a local doctor may not know what I know. Look, there's a lot of well-meaning doctors who don't understand how to do this the right way. They're not specialists. I have spent 6 years helping over 500 women figure out exactly how to use these medications in a way that gets results and lasts. Doing this the right way still takes work. It means understanding the patterns that food noise has created over the years. It means addressing habits that have been created, whether that's stress eating, boredom snacking, the way that you've used food in the past. And it means coming off the medication in the right way, a method that most doctors don't know about. There is a way to come off this medication that helps your body adjust so that the weight actually stays off. Most practitioners have never heard of that. And that's the difference between working with a specialist and just getting a prescription. That is absolutely not lazy. That is actually doing the hard thing. That is treating this like a biological issue, which is what it actually is. When you do it right, you walk away lighter, free from the medication, and confident you can keep it off on your own. And I think it's really important to emphasize that this is your journey. You don't have to tell anyone if you don't want to. This is between you and your doctor. No one's going to look at you and magically know you're on the medication. You don't owe anyone an explanation. This is between me and you. Lastly, for our patients, we will meet Claire. Claire was a lifelong triathlete. That was a huge part of her identity. When I met her at 41, her demanding career meant that she couldn't train for the hours needed anymore. And that's when that's when the weight crept on. The more weight she gained, the harder her sport became, which meant less movement, which meant more weight gain. So it was obviously a painful cycle. She had tried all the kind of standard stuff, low carbs, low calorie, and nothing was working. She finally got to the point where her weight prevented her from competing in triathletes altogether. And that's when she found me. We started her on the 3-step GLP-1 method. She has lost over 50 pounds. And most importantly, she's back to competing in triathlons, traveling for competitions. It's something she loves, and it gives her huge part of her identity back. I still remember when she did her first one, her first one after, losing some of the weight and getting the emails and the pictures. And it was really wonderful for her and for me. The key to your success is kind of going back to that triangle. I'm going to show you now the 3-step system that I use to help clients like you, and like the ones I just showed you, achieve such remarkable results. This is called the Mindful Weight Loss Method, and it does work every time. It has 3 steps. The first step is we call it quiet. This is where we use that medication to finally give your brain a break. We reset that misfiring hunger signal so that you can think clearly about food for the first time in years. You finally have the mental space for other things, your work, your family, your life, instead of constantly thinking about food. And importantly, unlike those pill mills, I'm going to monitor you closely, adjust your dose based on how your body responds, not just on some basic generic protocol. We're also quieting different parts of the metabolism that have been doing quote unquote the wrong things, the things that are not, supposed to be happening. And that's also happening during this thing. So there's a lot in the background that's happening with this method, with this medicine. The next step is rewire. The medication quiets the biological noise and affects the metabolism, affects the food noise, etc. But it doesn't change habits that you've built around food. As I mentioned before, some people stress eat, some people boredom eat. Some people turn to food for comfort. Some people turn to it during periods of, anxiety, stress. Um, there's a lot of different ways that you've used food in the years before this. And the fact is those patterns are still there. They're just hidden. And we're really going to be working to change your relationship with food. Food should be a joyful thing. And we can find a way for you to still have the food you love, but be the size you want to be. If we don't address these patterns, if you stop the medication, the weight's going to come right back. This step is really the difference between quick results and long-term success. Lastly, release. My goal isn't for you to be on the medication forever. I certainly do have patients who say they want to be, but that's very few. The goal really is for you to reach a weight where you feel like yourself, that feels right for you. Again, not a number on a BMI chart, but the weight where you feel like yourself. And then we gradually taper off while your body adjusts to its next or its new set point. That is a true biological set point that does happen, but it takes finesse to get your body to realize that's its new set point. And then at the end of it, you walk away, lighter, feeling like yourself, free from the medication, and with the confidence that you can maintain it on your own. This is the step that most people skip and why they gain it all back, and then some. With this in place, you will have a proven path to solving the root problem of your weight loss resistance. With this, you have an established process that can get you the results that have felt unattainable for so long. If this has worked for the clients that I've shown you and many, many more, there's really no reason to believe this couldn't help you too. The very fact that you are still watching this tells me you are committed to losing weight on GLP-1 medication. Otherwise, you would have been gone a long time ago. If you're anything like me and those I've helped, you don't want to waste money, and you don't want to waste your time. You want a proven system that actually works. So now you know your brain is lying to you about hunger. We've seen that the old way of doing things simply doesn't work. And I've shown you the mindful weight loss method, the approach that helps women lose weight with GLP-1 medications and keep it off even after they stop. You can do this. We can do it together. Just imagine how great it feels when you stop calculating calories in your head at every meal or feeling guilty for wanting dessert. So if you're ready to finally break the cycle, this next step is going to be for you. There is one thing I know for sure, and that is that navigating GLP-1 weight loss on your own can be overwhelming. Doing this on your own isn't easy. You've probably realized that by now. You can get a prescription from an online pharmacy, but we've already talked about how that ends. You can ask your regular doctor, your primary care doctor, but again, they don't specialize in this. They don't know how to dose it properly for your body. They don't know how to help you address the patterns food noise has created. and they definitely don't know how to help you come off of the medication without gaining it all back. You could try this on your own, but you'll probably waste a lot of time, a lot of money, and you'll probably have a lot of frustration with this, only to end up back where you started or potentially worse. That's why having an experienced guide who understands your specific situation can make all the difference. I did the work. I've spent the last 6 years focused specifically on this, helping women use GLP-1 medications the right way, not as a side thing, not as one of 100 services I offer. This is what I do. I've helped over 500 women figure out exactly how to lose the weight and keep it off. I've seen what works, what doesn't, and where most practitioners get it wrong. And I want to give you the shortcut without all the trial and error, the wasted money, or the rebound weight gain. I'm really excited to announce I have an exclusive opportunity for you today. The only way forward. Here's what I want to do for you. I want to help you finally understand what's been keeping you stuck, why past efforts haven't worked, and whether GLP-1 medications are the right path for you. Then we'll create a simple plan for you to move forward with confidence so you're not guessing anymore. Without this, you will keep guessing. You might try the medication on your own, end up getting it all back. You might keep doing what you've been doing, eating less, exercising more, blaming yourself when the real issue is that there's something no one's ever explained to you. With this, you'll finally understand why nothing has worked. You'll finally get the answers. Even if every other doctor has brushed you off with eat less, move more, even if you started to believe your body is broken, you'll have a proven plan to address what's actually going on, and you'll start feeling like you're in control again. Imagine how it feels when you're not fighting your body anymore, when the scale is moving in the right direction and you trust it's going to stay that way, when you finally have room in your head for something other than food. Here's exactly how I can help you. The GLP-1 weight loss assessment has 3 components. This face-to-face Zoom call isn't just about talking about your problem. Sorry, I just want to make sure I was still on the right slide. It's included in it is the food noise score. This measures how loud your hunger signals actually are, the constant thoughts about food, the inability to stop chatter, that mental chatter that never shuts up. It reveals whether your brain is misfiring signals and exactly what's driving that pattern. We'll also create your weight loss resistance map. This map is going to show exactly when and why your body stopped responding, and shows how your past efforts connect to where you're stuck now. It reveals that biological shift that most practitioners overlook and that online prescription sites never even ask about. Not only that, we'll also do the GLP-1 fit scan. This determines whether GLP-1 medications are right for your body, your history, and your goals. Not everyone is a candidate for this medication, and this is going to tell us if this approach will work for you before you waste your time or your money on something that isn't the right fit. The GLP-1 weight loss assessment, this is going to be the best use of time that you've ever invested to solve your weight loss resistance. I know how frustrating it is to go from doctor to doctor, appointment to appointment, hoping someone will finally take you seriously and give you real answers. That's why I designed this assessment to be different. It's not a generic questionnaire. It's not a rushed 10-minute conversation. This is the most valuable hour you'll ever invest in solving your weight loss struggle. And I hear that from women all the time. Now, I normally charge almost $700 for this assignment. If all this call did was finally help you stop blaming yourself for something that was never about willpower, it would be worth it. Give you clarity on whether these medications are right for you, it would be worth it. Save you from the rebound weight gain that happens when you do this the wrong way, it would be worth it. But you won't pay that $697. You won't pay $397, $197. Today it's just $47 because you've invested your time to watch this today. I'm going to offer this assessment, which is almost a $700 value, for just $47. This is your chance to finally stop guessing and start moving forward with a real plan, with a real doctor who specializes in this, with answers that actually make sense for your body. So if you're tired of doing everything right and still not losing the weight, if you are 100% committed to finally figuring this out and doing it the right way, and a lot faster. And if you want to do it without the pill mills, the rebound weight gain, being on medication forever, this could be for you. But before we go any further, I can't help everyone. This assessment is really, the purpose of it is to find out where you're stuck, whether GLP-1s are right for you, and what the best next steps are. If that involves working together, like the women I've shown you today, awesome. If not, that's okay too. I will point you in the right direction, but I'm not here to waste your time. The last thing I want to do is waste your time if you're not the type of person who will see results. After helping over 500 women, I know exactly who will get those results and who doesn't. Let me be honest about that. This is not for you if you're looking for a magic pill that lets you lose weight without changing anything else. If you want the cheapest option, and you don't care about keeping the weight loss off, and if you're unwilling or unable to invest in your health. Regardless of whether we work together, breaking free from the patterns of food noise requires commitment. If you're looking for a quick prescription, hoping for the best, this isn't for you. If you're unwilling to invest in yourself and make this a priority, none of my recommendations will make a difference, and getting on the phone together will be unproductive. This is for you if you are serious about using these GLP-1 medications the right way. If you don't want to be on medication forever and you want to plan to eventually come off safely. If you're fully committed to finally taking control of your weight and your health. I only work with women I'm 100% confident will get the results from the mindful weight loss method. What you see here are some of the most important characteristics of my clients who succeed. They're not looking for shortcuts. They're looking for something that actually works and lasts. So if you meet these criteria, then this is for you. And I don't see any reason why you shouldn't be like my other patients. Simply click the link below to book your assessment. Like I said, limited to serious women only. On this call, you'll be speaking directly with me. I'm not an assistant, not a sales team. I set aside a handful of these spots each week for the most qualified candidates, and so they do fill up quickly. If you know this is for you, book your spot now while you can. So from here, you've got two choices. You can keep going down the red path, doing what you've been doing, fighting your body every day, maybe trying an online pill mill, hoping it works out differently. Or you can choose that green path. Get clarity on what's actually keeping you stuck. Find out if the GLP-1 medications are right for you and have a real plan built for your body so you can finally move forward with confidence. That's exactly what this assessment is designed to give you. You've already shown your commitment to the green path by staying engaged this far. Now let's keep that going. The choice is yours, but if you're ready to continue on the green path, now's the time to grab your spot. If you want to finally understand why nothing has worked and what will, get a personalized plan based on your food noise score, your GLP-1 fit scan, and your weight loss resistance map. See if you're a good fit for working with me so we can do this together the right way. Take advantage of this opportunity now. Simply click the link below, book your assessment, and let's do this together. I'll see you on the call.